Hi all, today we are going to discuss the topic inverse functions, and we have learned what is function before. A function describes the relationship between the two variables. Okay, so here I have written one example for an equation y equals 2x minus 1. This is an equation. And how do I write this equation as a function form? We will be writing a function as f of x. So we can write this as a function form by denoting this y as f of x equals 2x minus 1. So a function we are denoting as f of x. Okay. So here y equals 2x minus 1 and f of x equals 2x minus 1. So these are the different ways of writing the same thing. We will check another example for an equation y equals x plus 5. So this is an equation and I want to change this as a function form. How do I change this as a function form? I can just change this y as f of x. So this is the form we are expressing as a function. F of x equals x plus 5. Yes. So this is the function form. And we are going to the topic inverse function. What is mean by inverse function? As the name shows, the inverse of a function will be its reverse. For example, if I have a function which is add 6. So this is my function which is add 6. And I want to get the inverse of this function. Inverse means its reverse or its opposite. So add 6 will become subtract 6. So the inverse of that function will be subtract 6. Let's consider another example. Like I have a function which is multiply. Okay, multiply by 5. Okay, so what will be the inverse of this function? Just the reverse or the opposite? What is the opposite of multiplication? It becomes divide, is it? Yes. So division. So divide by 5 will be the inverse of this function. So this is we call inverse. Just taking the reverse of the given function. Okay. And we have discussed just before how do we show the function f of x. Is it? Yes. So to denote the inverse of the function, we will be writing in this form. This is the form we are notating as the inverse of the function. Okay, so f inverse of x, the power will be just showing as a negative or the reverse form. Okay, so this is the form we are denoting as an inverse function which is f inverse of x. Okay, now we are going to do one question. To find the inverse of the function f of x equals x plus 3. So here the function is given f of x equals x plus 3. How do we find the inverse of the function? To get the inverse of the function, we have to follow some steps. So I have written the steps here. The first step is to write the function as an equation in terms of y. So how do I write this function as an equation form? Just change this function f of x as y. Just changing this f of x as y. So how can I write it? I can write this as y equals x plus 3. You're just writing this function as an equation form. Just changing this f of x as y. Okay, and writing the remaining things are same. So y equals x plus 3. This is the first step. You have to change the function as an equation in terms of y. The next step is to swap x and y. Next step, you have to swap or change the places of x and y. Okay, so just swap them. So I can write here x equals y plus 3. Is it? Yes. So you will be just swapping x and y and after swapping x and y you will be getting x equals y plus 3. So this is the second step. And what is the third step? Rearrange to make y the subject. Okay, we have learned it before how to rearrange the equation into the subject, which is given here, it is y. So how do we change the equation form as y as a subject? Y as a subject means you have to get y equals something, which means I should get y alone. Okay, so if I want to get y alone, what should I do? I have to move all other terms with y. Here when you are looking at this equation, you will see that y plus 3 on one side of equal and the other side of equal is just x. So I need to get y alone, which means I don't want this 3 here. So I want to move this 3 to the next side. Is it? Yes, we will be moving this 3 to the next side. So when you are moving something to the opposite of equal, we have to change the sign, or we have to take the opposite of the sign. So here it's placing 3. Is it? Yes. So when you are moving to the next side of equal, what it will be? It will be x minus 3. We have learned it before. When you are moving to the next side, addition will become subtraction, subtraction will become addition, multiplication will become division, and division will becomes multiplication. Okay, so this is the form. So you are moving this positive 3 to the next side, it becomes negative 3. Okay, so you will be writing this as x, moving this, it becomes minus 3 and equal what? Y. Okay, so just move the other terms which is within this y to the next side. After moving, you will be getting x minus 3 equals y. So you have got the form as y as a subject. So you can write it as y equals x minus 3. Is it? Yes. So you have got the form y equals x minus 3. This is the form you have got. This is the inverse of the function. So you can write this y equals x minus 3 as an inverse of the function. Inverse of the function we will be denoting as this form, f inverse of x. What is f inverse of x? Here it will be x minus 3. So this is the inverse of the function of x plus 3. Okay. So the function which was x plus 3, and you have to find the inverse of the function. First step is to write the function as an equation in terms of y, which means just changing f of x as y equals the same form, and the second step is to swap x and y. So you are just swapping x and y, just placing. Okay, just replacing x and y. And the third step is to rearrange to make y the subject. So you will have to get y equal something by moving all the terms to the next side of equal. At the time of moving, you will have to change the sign. Okay, then you will get y equals one function. So this is the inverse of the function. So you can write the inverse of the function as f inverse of x equals x minus 3. Okay, let's check the another question. Find the inverse of the function f of x equals 2x plus 6. So I'm just writing the question here. F of x equals 2x plus 6. What is the first step? We have to write the function as the equation of in terms of y. So just write your equation form like y equals 2x plus 6. Just changing f of x as y. Okay, the next step is to swap x and y. So just change x and y. So this y will becomes x and 2x will becomes 2y. And write the other things are same. So x equals 2y plus 6. Then what is the next step? You have to rearrange to make y as a subject, which means you have to get y alone. So what are the things I have to move to the next side? I have 2 here and 6 here. So I want to move this 2 and 6. So which one will you move first? We have to move the number which is alone. See here 2y, which means that this 2 is with y. Okay, so I cannot move this 2 first. Moving the number alone first. So I am just moving this 6 first. And you can see that it's placing here. So when you are moving to the next side, it becomes minus. So x minus 6 will be equal to what? 2y. Is it? Yes. Then here I cannot stop here because I have got 2y. I just need y equals. Okay, y as the subject means just y. I cannot take as 2y, which means I want to move this 2 also. So 2y means what? 2 multiply by y. When you are moving 2 to the next side, multiplication, what is the reverse function? Multiplication will becomes division. So you have to move this 2 by dividing. Here what is here? You have here x minus 6. So 2 you are moving will becomes dividing by 2, which is equal y. Okay. Now you have got the form y equals x minus 6 over 2. So this is the form you have got, y equals x minus 6 over 2. So when you get y as the subject, you can stop. This is the inverse of the function. So you can conclude your answer as f inverse of x, which is equal to x minus 6 over 2. So this is the inverse of this given function. Okay, now let's discuss another form of the same. The function is given f of x equals 2x plus 3 over 4. So here what are the operations you have? 2x means multiplication is there, addition is there, and division also is there. So you have 3 operations. Okay, now we are going to find the inverse of this function. So first step is to change your function as the equation form. So y equals, changing this f of x as y equals 2x plus 3 over 4. Then what is the next step? Swap x and y. So just swapping y as x and 2x will be 2y, and writing the other terms as same. So 2y plus 3 over 4. And what is the next step? Change or rearrange your equation to make the subject as y. So you have to get y alone by moving all other terms or numbers from this place. So I have 2, 3 and 4. So which number I can move first? You are moving the division first. Okay, so move the division. So division will become multiplication. Yes. So 4 multiplied by x, which will be 4x, equals, what are the other things after moving this? When you are moving, you will be having 2y plus 3. So you can write here 2y plus 3. Then I cannot stop here because I didn't get y equals. Okay, so we have to move the rest 2 numbers, which is 2 and 3. As we said before, we have to move 3 first. So it's placing 3 will becomes minus. You have here 4x, so write the same first, 4x, then move it, it will be minus 3, which is equals to y. Then move this 2 again. It's multiplying. 2y means 2 multiply by y. So multiplication will becomes division. So write the same, 4x minus 3 over 2, which is equals y. So you have got your form of equation as y as the subject. So you can conclude your answer. The inverse of the function will be 4x minus 3 over 2. So this is the inverse of the function which is given in the question is 2x plus 3 over 4. I hope all of you understood this. Thank you for listening.